welcome our viewers this week. Thanks for joining us week after week and spending your time with us. We have tonight a very exciting episode on, on mastering the approach. So we're gonna touch upon Colton, mastering the approach to the business, right?
Yep. So you're an unfranchised owner. How do you think about the business? How do you approach the business in order to create a successful approach? A lot of the business is just even how do you think about the business? How do you view the business? How do you come at it? So excited to get to talk tonight about mastering the approach here.
Yeah.
Great.
And also later on, we might throw in a little bit of like mastering the approach on like getting a prospect in front of the plan, because next week we're going to be showing the plan right here.
Do it.
So, all right. Okay, cool. All right, Colton. So walk us through this. What are we going to be talking about tonight?
Yeah, I first just wanted to even talk about what we are, because a lot of people, they struggle with the different mindset of the way that this business is built. And I want to talk about linear income versus ongoing income. Most people are trained up and they're raised up in the idea of linear income. If you've been to a basic 5, you've seen this slide, but I don't think it's ever hit on quite nearly enough, because linear income there's no problem with linear income. That's the job market. That's the normal way of the world. And with linear income, every day resets over at 0. Before this, I was a dishwasher at a steakhouse. That's about as low on the totem pole of financial ladder climbing as you can go, as a dishwasher at a steakhouse. But I remember going, and every single day felt like a reset button. I'd go to work, I'd make the restaurant really messy, they'd pay me, and the big red reset button. I'd come back the next day, I'd make the restaurant really messy, I'd clean it up, and they'd pay me some cash, and then big red reset button. And I remember talking to my dad a few months into working there, and we were talking about it almost felt like Groundhog Day. That every day, everything just restarted from 0, and there were people that were there for 20-something years. Every day, reset. And my dad said, probably what you're not even thinking about is that right now you're on the lowest part of the totem pole. But even as a doctor, it's the same rung. They get paid a lot more for their time, but it is still a time for money exchange. Right. It's still linear income exchange. And that was what really get me changing to ongoing income.
Yeah, that's like Olivia's perfect prime example, right? Super, comfortable 6-figure job in the financial industry. And what are you doing? Like 80 hours a week? Was it 100?
And it's really scary how many people even think it's okay to actually, because the return we get is so substantial. However, we've all heard of the term broke at a higher level. Because really, if I was calculating, what my mom was making like on a weekly basis is way more exciting than what I get maybe bi-weekly checks. And because I pay 48% tax, even though on, my sign-on bonus, for example, to, just sign the paper to accept the job for this financial firm, my sign-on bonus is $30,000.
Woo.
So yeah, I was spending as if I was getting $30,000. But when I got the check, it was only $15,000. So what happened to the other half? 40%, like Uncle Seb.
Crap.
And it's really scary to see many people even work 20, 30 years. I think that's when the wake-up call happened for me. It's just one morning I go into the office. The nicest offices were empty. So the whole management changed, obviously, the CEO, the CFO. So then the entire management got laid off because they wanted their own people to substitute. So everybody got a pink slip. You don't even get to pack your own things. You get escorted out by security, and literally just what you see on the movie. And that, broke at a higher level. It's really 2 kinds of people nowadays, right? People who don't have a job, or people who don't have job security.
Yeah,
that's it.
But what do you guys say to those of us who say, look, I hear you, but I got no choice. I got bills to pay. It's the fastest way I know how to make money. Like, what do you say to that?
And that's what I always try to hit on. I don't actually have a problem with linear income. I think there's actually great, I'm all for jobs. I want more of them as an entrepreneur. I want to create a ton of them. I just knew I wasn't created to have one. For sure, I learned that pretty quickly. That was not my realm for sure, but there's safety in linear income. There's security. I mean, there's not job security, but you know if you show up, you're gonna get paid.
Right.
If I washed dishes. I knew I was still gonna get paid. No matter what, I would be paid. It was gonna be very minimal, but I was still gonna get paid. And that's the difference with ongoing income. You know, with Olivia here, Olivia, did they give you a signing bonus when you started your UnFranchise business?
Oh, are you kidding? Well, but you know, that's actually the most interesting thing is most people think we registered a business and that was it, right? I think the biggest switch is the mindset of being, you know, clocking in, clocking out, expecting immediate return. And one thing we realize is you got to drop the short-term mentality and start to really, you know, you got to be willing to put in the hours and the effort for a return that's, you know, month ahead of us, right? So, you know, I think the biggest shift is, like you said, it's truly in, you know, our mindset.
Yep.
Right.
And so recognizing, like sometimes you know, part of mastering the approach here, we're also wanting to talk about talking to new prospects. How do you approach people? One of the biggest things is don't try to talk a linear income person into becoming an ongoing income person. And when you sit down with people, based on the question they're even asking, they're already filtering themselves out. If they're asking what's the least amount or what's the smallest amount you can get paid as a shop.com unfranchised business owner, that's the wrong kind of a question, because then that shows a linear income person. And a linear income person wants the safety, they want the security, they want the, you know, the idea of if I show up, I'm going to get paid. An ongoing income person realizes they're willing to swing for the fence in order to have everything. So when you talk to somebody and they're like, man, so you're telling me I can have everything that I want, they start talking about their dreams and their hopes and their ambitions, and if we can get money out of the way, we can start doing this. That's who you're looking for. And talking linear income person to become an ongoing income person, looking for that ongoing income person.
Right. So what would you guys say is the, you know, obviously we know the benefits of ongoing income, and I think we could talk about some of that tonight as well. But what are some of the challenges of creating like the ongoing income? What do you think are some of the common challenges in building it? Because you know you don't get it right away, right? In many cases, the ongoing income doesn't start right away, or it requires huge startup capital. And
it definitely takes the delayed gratification that you're willing to sacrifice today for something else tomorrow. You're willing to show up on a Saturday when you don't feel like it, you don't want to, or a Tuesday night when you don't want to. There's the presentation, and you got to do what you don't want to do because of the vision of what's to come.
Yeah.
What do you think, Olivia?
And I think totally agree. Also, to be able to really impress upon, especially new business partners, that it's not a matter of how much money we're creating here, but it's actually the way we make money, right? So the way we make money will directly dictate the kind of lifestyle we get to have. So even though if it's just $300 a month, and you know, however, if it's not based on how much time you trade in, it's actually, you know, priming the pump and having that type of passive income, then in terms of people who are good with numbers, you gotta have minimum $90,000, right, in the bank in order to have that kind of passive income. So I think you know, at the end, it's still the type of income we want, rather than saying, you know, like you said, the $300 extra a month is another feeling that people can be in control. I think for a lot of people who are working at, you know, making good income, steady income, but, you know, got to get that sense of urgency to them. The fact that doesn't matter how good you think your job is, you know, do you have something that you can call it a control, right?
Right.
And Andrew, when did you click the difference between linear income and ongoing income? What did that look like for you when you started realizing the differences?
With me? Yeah.
No, for Andrew. To Andrew.
Well, you know, I think the biggest one was with the linear income, like with the job, right? Working for a job. I think the biggest click was it really felt like no matter how hard I worked, it didn't mean that was how it couldn't dictate how much money I could make. But from building the, from starting to look at different ways of building ongoing income, I know it takes initial investment. Everything's upfront. You pay for it upfront. But the more you do, the higher the chance. There's always a risk everywhere. But the more you do, and the more actions, the more steps you take, it equates to a higher return tomorrow. So, which is why I think the unfranchised business is perfect, because yes, I was working at a full-time job and I was depending on that to pay the bills. But at the same time, this was a step that's very realistic that I could take without having to quit the full-time job. You know what I mean? And build out one stream of passive income, which opens up the doors to building up future ones, like other ones. Yeah.
Which check for you kind of represented, okay, now I think I've actually started creating, because like that first check, you earn that first check. Like when that coordinator check comes in, you have no problem sleeping at night. You're like, I earned that one. The next check comes in, you're like, I earned that one. What check was it for you where you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like we're really doing it now.
Right. I think it's the fourth week of a $2,021 or $2,400 check.
Okay.
That was really, that was where it really sunk in, where holy crap, did I really do that much work this week? Like to get this amount. That was like the starting of hitting supervising coordinator.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was, you worked for it.
Yeah.
But
how about you, Olivia? Where did that kind of click? Like the ongoing, you're like, oh man, that's really clicking.
I think didn't take me $2,100 a week to actually realize that.
Andrew needed to see some serious cash before he got it. I was not nearly $2,100 a week.
No, it was the fourth week. I had to wait till the fourth week.
Definitely higher expectations. For me, I think the big jump of, for example, when you go through a pay cycle in 2 weeks versus going through a pay cycle every week.
Yeah.
A big click for me, because going from a few $100s a week to a 4-digit in a week, that really multiplies and exponentially grows your monthly and annual income. You know what I mean? It's like then you start to realize, wow, this is not only passive income, but it's also a substantial amount of passive income. It's actually a 6-figure, and it really puts things in perspective in terms of we're making doctors and lawyers and financial business people's type of 6-figure income, and are we really doing exactly 80 hours like how they do? And I just like Andrew said, the payoff and how the input output, right? Input in the beginning way over output, and then now we feel like, oh well, input is much more leveraging and output is growing exponentially. So that was it. What about you?
So fun.
Yeah. What about you, Colton?
For me, I was working at Outback, and I remember that first check came in. I was like, no problem. I worked really hard to get that first check, and really hard. I'm not like out there digging ditches or something. You're sitting down having conversations with people and casting a vision. But I remember I felt like I'd earned that based on my time that I put into input output. But I remember it was probably 9 months into the business. We had just hit master coordinator, and that $1,200 check came in. And when it actually came in, Michaela and I were actually on a vacation for that week. We were gone that week. And I remember Outback didn't pay me any dollars that week. I got no money from Outback that week because I didn't show up. But Shop.com, Mark America sent me a $1,200 check. And I remember just like sitting there, like literally on vacation. I was like, babe, we just got $1,200 today while we're here on vacation for work that we put in the past. And I remember coming back just like a wild banshee, like, oh my gosh, we got to crush this thing because we need these checks to get bigger. But it's real, like the money does come in on an ongoing basis. So
it's crazy. And even though there are people that do very well, like with building linear income, like cut somebody open, you make 50 grand, something like that, or close a house deal, and you earn a hefty commission. It really is the peace of mind that you get from, I put in the work, I've set it up, and I know exactly where I need to, put some pressure on to make sure I'm managing my business properly. to keep it going. When you know that, it creates peace of mind, and it opens up, in my opinion, opens up the door to do many other things. It frees up your time to do many other things. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people, like, again, I love the linear income stuff. I'm a huge fan of them, but I just think if somebody's working harder at running faster on a treadmill, they're still not getting anywhere. And jobs don't pay you for running fast. They pay you for being on the treadmill. And when you're on the treadmill, you stop getting paid. And the people that are running faster thinking they're going to get ahead, it's not getting them anywhere. So those are the people you're looking for. Somebody that's like, you look over and they're on the treadmill and they're running at 10 miles per hour, 11 miles, and they're increasing and they're thinking they're getting ahead by doing that. And when you show them ongoing income, it's a whole different experience than talking to somebody that's really just looking forward to beer on the weekends, watching more Netflix, and when's the game coming on Sunday. It's a completely different experience.
Right.
Okay, so this slide here, long-term success with shop.com. I remember sitting down talking to my parents my first week in the business and asking them, like, what's the bullseye? Like, what does success really look like? And everything they talked about was long-term success. They said you can have short-term success by doing something crazy. Maybe you're a great salesperson and you can go door to door and sell our pure water bottle, purifiers. Maybe you can sell Cannabinoid door to door and you're amazing at it. Or you have a great social media presence and you can build click funnels and sell all this stuff. They said that's amazing short-term success, but long-term success looks like the ability to do what you really want to do, to be able to expand and to be able to get this set up where you can then go do other things with your time, with your money. They said long-term success is dependent on your ability to implement simple tasks that can be duplicated by a large group of people. So part of, from my mindset of mastering the approach of looking at this business is thinking in terms of simple tasks. It's not a matter of if what you're doing is working. It's a matter of if what you're doing can duplicate across a large organization of people. And so my thing to Olivia and Andrew here was just thinking through, like, what are your simple tasks that you guys like to do? Because you guys have created duplication. You have these amazing huge groups. What are the simple tasks you guys prioritize in your week so that somebody that's newer looking at this or somebody that's on this broadcast is like, what should I focus on? If I was going to zero in, because there's so much people can be doing, like all these different things, there's so many different tasks, but what do you guys zoom in on to create the income that you guys have?
Right. I think one of the most important ones is listening to at least one audio over and over again every day. So getting the mind right, whether it's through audios, reading your goal statements. That's something that I think everybody can do, and not everybody does it. That's the thing. But it's simple enough that everyone can do it. And the other thing is just simplifying the exposure. Something that I picked up from Tom Holden recently was, he took the 36 slides, they're already very well done, condensed right into 36 slides of showing the plan. He took out 8 slides, and he's duplicating that in mass, like in his group. And he says he's having so much exposure happening in his group right now because everyone just needs to know 8 themes and they can show the full plan.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something that we started doing since last week, just using those 8 slides.
And what are the 8 slides, or what are the 8 themes that you try to hit? What are the 8 themes that you try to hit in your presentation, or the ones that he says were key? Out of curiosity.
Right. I'm going to send it to you, and maybe when we upload the video, we can put up a link. And it's beautiful. So the first, it talks about the and here's the thing. The first slide is the cover page. He didn't lose the cover page.
Okay. That's one of the 8.
You talk about the UnFranchise business versus franchising, and the cover page. You also, one of the themes that we're duplicating now and getting people to really implement this. Do you know your 2-minute commercial? Your why you're doing the business. That's something that we need to have, down to a T, like know how to talk about. And we have a slide that talks about the anywhere from Becker the company, product brokerage, one-to-one marketing. Or all the way to horizontal versus vertical. He took that slide that Miguel made, and it's a beautiful piece of work. And I'll send it to you, Colton, and we can upload the link. Yeah, that would be.
I know next week you're doing our presentation. Is that what you're going to be kind of basing the presentation on? That idea?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing I might be going through more than 8 slides. I'm taking one of the slides and then opening it up a little bit, so it's easier for across the screen, but across the table, I use those 8 now.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
So actually quite similar to start off. I think, what we really pound on is you got to really be able to control. You can't control everything. For example, prospects or, people showing up to your appointments or not. Obviously, we can increase our success ratio. However, what we can control is the 6 inches between our ears, right? So we really do want to duplicate. Audio is big in our team as well. I personally, feed off audio, especially I'm sure you guys agree when we travel a lot, it increase our exposure. We get to meet people, but what really helps us to stay focused is just audio. So we're big on audio and a positive affirmation. And, honestly, I realize, especially for some newer people to start off, they may not be clear with their goals, but they all want to become a better person. So positive affirmation to start. If you haven't really honed in on your burning desire yet, so that's on the personal level to create duplication. But for a team perspective, we're big on tickets. We all understand the tickets creates the biggest leverage. I'm not the biggest salesperson. I definitely is not the biggest recruiter among everybody, but we can bring everybody to get trained to become the next top something, right? So we always say the first habit we want our teammates to have is to buy tickets. And the first skill sets we want everybody to learn is to how to move the tickets. So that is a big thing. So on top of that, then we can talk about at the same time showing the plan. But I do want to really just, like Andrew said, talk more about how to simplify the approach. And now we've been duplicating, big time from this convention, just a no decision closing, get better at, just evaluation. If I could show you ... would you be willing to ... right? So
yeah, that's good. I think everyone's trying to think that way because our attention spans are shrinking. Like we talked about that very first call, how are we shifting this? But also, especially as you go along, I don't know about you guys, but when I first started, recruiting was like the easiest thing in the world because I didn't know very much, but I was just really excited. And the moment I started knowing too much, I went to my first convention, I came home, and I tried to give somebody my whole convention experience over a cup of coffee. And I'm just shaking them with all the vibrancy of life that I had pounding through my veins. And tried to show them over the first cup of coffee. And it went down dramatically after that. And so learning how to chop it up into little bite-sized pieces, all this excitement, especially for somebody that's been around for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or in our experience is 4+ years here, is how do you, from a maturity standpoint, take the same excitement, but chop it up into little bite-sized pieces that everybody can absorb so you don't go through, I'm going to change this person's life over this cup of coffee. It's just a slight trajectory change to get them moving forward. I think that's really good.
Right.
And you guys both mentioned audios. If you had a brand new person that you're working with here, what would be one audio that you guys would suggest them starting out with? I mean, obviously it's more of creating a culture of every single day listening to an audio and the habit of that. But where would you start? Where's the starting line?
One of the classics that I really like to use now is the 2010 Gala address. The 2010 Gala address by JR, just to get people to understand the vision, where we were, where we're going, and also give them a sort of like a link directly to the CEO of the company. I like that one. What about you, Olivia?
I personally really benefit a lot from JR's all-time classic, Master Recruiter. I know we don't like the word recruiter anymore, but that audio is just, so powerful in terms of mindset, posture. Because I personally had a trouble in the beginning with prospecting and building a relationship. That's something I had to learn in the business. So that audio really helped me just building up that posture. But I also really love talking theme. Both the Andrew Brisbane and the new video with Dennis and Jim, powerful.
Yeah, great. That would be more catered to new. I'm curious, like the master building techniques or the master recruiting ones, like how is that with a new person? What's your experience with that? With a new person starting the business, what's how do they
Actually,
take it?
that's a good question. I think that would be great for like a someone that wants to become the next goal now, right?
Yeah.
And if you're completely brand new, I usually
Right.
recommend power of identity. Um,
Oh, mhm.
Power of
I think
identity.
where he talks
I
about the
think,
bumblebee study.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So it really, yes, these are all favorites, but it's just what's the other one? Oh, the recent years, whether it's JR's closing address,
Yeah.
it is long, but
Right.
I think the person can really capture on some of the vision, excitement,
Right.
uh, shopping annuity concept.
Yeah. Oh, another really good one is Belief by Jim Winkler. You sometimes just start people off that one too. That's a really good one too.
And if you guys are newer on this and wondering where we're pulling some of these audios from, you can get them on the UnFranchise Media app. So it's in your
Right.
app store, UF Media app. That's a really good place to start. But I think these guys already nailed it on the head. It's creating a culture inside yourself of one audio per day, no matter what, where that becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Almost like Pavlov's dogs now. When I start getting ready in the morning, I'm showering, I'm brushing my teeth. It's like if I wasn't listening to an audio, my right eye would start twitching. I'm like, how do I even start my day without an audio now? That's became a habit for sure. And Olivia just hit on this, and she was talking about being a go now. When somebody wants to become a go now, what we throw this term around a lot, and this was almost a joke. We were laughing really hard one night at the Whited House. I mean, on our sides, tears coming down our face, talking about how people describe like, oh, this is my brand new leader. This is the next Elizabeth Weber. This is the next, and it's almost usually a curse on that person that they're marked for life. That they won't have it. But when somebody does want to be a go now, because I think priority number one in order to approach the business is you have to decide to be a go now and franchise owner. We throw that term around a lot, but what does go now mean to you guys? What's that look like?
I think go now, very cliche, duplicating what JR always defines it as, was willing to duplicate, to implement the entire basic five, right? We did not say to master the basic five because it takes a lot of exponential learning to master the basic five. But these are the people who got to be, like you said, decide to be willing to implement, right? People who are taking action, not just thinking, right? If we're still thinking, we are really not goal now. So we're still thinking now, right? So that's basically my term.
So
Right.
let's say, Olivia, I'm in your group, and I'm an executive coordinator. I've been around for a year and a half, and I come to you and I'm like, Olivia, I have been only like backseat really building this business. It's been I'd say I'm a stable and waiting. I've been kind of more chill. I really want to be a go now. Today's what, Tuesday? How should I wake up tomorrow to become a go now? What needs to shift? What needs to happen for me to step up to be that?
That's a great question. So I think first we have to identify what you've been doing that works for you, what you haven't been doing, right? So a great way to look at is you do want to operate from a prospecting and qualifying and sponsoring step 4 mode. And so waking up in the morning, we have a 10 daily to-do list, right? With listening to the audio, reading the goal statement. But obviously we don't expect somebody to really just, next day, boom, check all the 10 things. But really got to start off with the tough tasks first. So the 3, 1, 2, talk to 3 people, book 1 appointment, and adding 2 names. And these are,
you go straight for the RPAs.
we do go straight to the RPA as the targeted goal because that's the measurement of showing what makes a difference. We still thinking? Are we still preparing? Or have we made a decision to become a go now? And it's how do you demonstrate whether you are coachable or willing to demonstrate the basic 5? So then action speaks louder, right? So however, we're going to say this is the target, and how long are we willing to, how long do we think we need to work on in order to get better on those 3, 1, 2? Because my goal was to do 3, 1, 2 every day, but I wasn't able to finish 3, 1, 2 until maybe 3 months in the growth process. You see what I mean? So maybe I fell short. Maybe I added 1 name. Maybe I did 1 appointment. Maybe I only got 2 talk tos today. So, but that's the benchmark. So with that benchmark, where are we lacking? right? Is it we need to elevate your personal skill sets? Do we need to elevate your posture? Do we need to help you build up, that bulletproof belief? So then we measure, monitor what's the supporting material we need to do. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah, totally. So you just hit something else too that I've noticed stops a lot of people from maintaining the Go Now is they start out Go Now, they're all really excited. You just said that it took you 3 months to get to the 312. That was always the goal, but you didn't hit it. How do you manage the tension of disappointment of not equaling up to what you know you should be doing, but still progressing and moving down the field? How do you, as a leader, do that? Because I know as a leader, I don't always do what I know I should be doing or what I expect of myself. And so I'm always trying to work on that. But as a new person, how do you maintain that, or how do you the dissonance of what you know you should be doing? Because there's a lot of stuff you should be doing, what you are doing.
Right, absolutely. I think that's a great question actually, because measure monitoring daily, and I think people usually focus on the results too much, and to the point where it frustrates them when they don't see the results. So again, it talked about no more short-term mentality. Let's drag it out. Why are we building the residual income? Why do we need a passive income? And so with that in mind, we need to really focus on the process, because I knew I had to build the skill sets. I didn't have the skill sets, so what does it take? Repetition, right? Repetition over time to get to the skill set. So, every day after, for example, a phone call or appointment, I would evaluate. I actually recorded my own. Obviously you don't want your prospect to know, but I, flip the phone over and I record myself on one-on-one, and I go through. And then, ooh, that sounded very pushy. Oh, terrible. So, obviously I'm not saying everybody's willing to do this, but I, really just wanted to get this point across at least, focus on building better skill sets daily rather than, boom, have I got,
It's not overnight. Yeah, it's not overnight, right? Yeah. Right. So here's my thoughts on what determines a go now. Look at two things. First thing is, do we do a belief check? What's your belief in the company? Belief in the products or whatever. Like, is your belief on the good side or or you need some help side? If your belief's not there yet, it doesn't matter what we do after. Like, we may get lucky, but chances are it's not going to work out. The second thing is, if a new partner or an executive coordinator, it doesn't matter which level, it could be a supervising coordinator, say, all right, I've been away for a while, I want to come back, I want to be a go now. Number one, do the belief check. The second thing is, let's look at the names list, how big that list is, because from that names list is your inventory. That's your, we can get our customers from that list. We can get our exposures from that list. And we can do our evaluation approaches from that list. And that's all it is. You're ready to go now. You believe in where you're going. And then seconds, have that list. We'll work through the list. That's the business, isn't it?
I love it. On the belief section there, you mentioned 3 different beliefs. You mentioned belief in yourself, belief in the vision, and then you also mentioned belief in the company. In your opinion, what do you think is the hierarchy on that? Like are all 3 essential? Are they all, concentrically valuable, or is it there's a hierarchy, one's more valuable than the other, or what do you look for as like what's a bigger red alert if somebody doesn't have belief in something?
Right. I'm thinking realistically, right? Like, belief in the company is probably the first one that we're really trying to sell, because and then we get into the vision, where we're going, and then the third one would be belief in yourself, because belief in yourself will build out as we're going through the reps and measure, like what Olivia was saying, measure, monitoring, adjust, and then we build up better belief in ourselves. Yeah. I don't know, that's how I see it, but I think they're all, just as important.
I think I would agree. I've never actually thought through that before, but I was just, as you're talking, I was like, I wonder what would be more valuable, but I think I would agree. I think a lot of people come into this, and you feel free to disagree on this. I'm actually curious on y'all's thoughts on this, but I think a lot of people come into this with very low belief in themselves, because they've given up on so many things. They've given up on the gym. They've given up on do it. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna go all gung ho and do this, and they don't do it. And then they all go hung on this. I'm gonna start this new habit. I'm gonna read every day. I'm gonna do this, and then they don't do it. And so I think when Olivia said that she wants the commitment from them for a certain amount of time, like, how long are we doing this for? Let's evaluate, measure, monitor, just control until this date. There's kind of a date there, but I think belief in the company, if they believe in what they're doing, believe in where they're going, the belief in yourself comes from daily doing something that you said you were going to do, and building up that self-integrity that you whatever you say to yourself, you're actually going to do it yourself. That comes along with it.
Right. Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, sorry, Olivia, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Andrew, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, we're in such a crazy state right now because was talking to Dennis Franks last week. We were communicating, and he sent me an email saying that well, the garden has been weeded. There's no reason for any unfranchised owner not to build right now. Like everything's been weeded out. We're at such a good, we're in such a good place as a company today, financially strong, well diversified, and we got all the tools we ever need. On Better Business Bureau, we crushed it. We're we are the most searched company on the Better Business Bureau. Across all 19 states that they're in. And it's
Speaking of which, have you guys ever actually read through the Market America Better Business Bureau profile? Mm-hmm. It's really good. Like I was reading through, like I'm not a pessimist, but I always start with like those negative things, and then like if I'm gonna go to a restaurant, I want to read the 1-star reviews first before I read the 5 stars. They're very believable. And so I was reading the Better Business Bureau stuff, and as I was reading through the 1 stars, every single thing where somebody was like upset or angry or complaining was answered right away, thoroughly, with times, dates, when this happened, how they resolved it, how it was fixed. I'm like, dang, and there's only like 12 of them, I think, or something like ridiculously small. I'm like, that's plus.
It's nuts. Mm-hmm. So we're guys, we're in a great place, company-wise. We just gotta maybe now the most important thing is to build that belief in ourselves.
Yeah.
In this crazy, fast-paced, changing, technology-filled, information overload world. We just gotta clear out the. Yeah.
Actually, that's something that we always use to actually encourage people to why we need to go back to different to every convention, every event is. If you've been to a world conference or international convention, you will see the company's vision, right? And you pretty much do believe that Market America is going to places. The companies, you believe in the company. However, over time, every time we go back, we come back, take action, get rejected, feel a little defeated, and then we go back. That's the process of 2 to 3 years for us to build belief in ourselves.
100%.
So, yeah.
Belief falls. It starts out high and then it falls. Like every day that I'm not thinking about it, it goes away. And you got to build that belief up every single day. That's the difference between being an amateur and a professional. An amateur blown around by the wind based on emotion. A professional decides how they're going to approach the day. When you guys talk about listening to audios, that builds belief. I listen to an audio not even for knowledge, but for the belief in what I'm doing and for where I'm going, and it reminds myself of where I'm heading. So when I walk out of my house, I'm not a leaf in the wind being blown around by other people's expectations or feelings or thoughts or emotions. I'm intentionally going out, setting the pace for my day. As a believer in what I'm building.
Yeah, that's very mature, man. Like I was just thinking back on all the, because we're talking about mastering the approach, to tonight, right? Like to the business. Thinking back on looking at each partner that I've personally worked with. And imagine if I'm in their shoes, like that's how many times I've started the business, and that's how many times I've approached the business. There were some times where we got lucky and made it as amateurs. Like we got lucky, like what Eric Ward says, like it's the scratch card. In the beginning, the first 2, they said yes, all right, let's go, and just so happened that was all we needed to build the belief. So sometimes you can get lucky, and then after that getting lucky, then you see everything else and you're like, oh wow, this is something that can really scale up bigger. So I think we should go out and do more and at the very least try to get lucky. At the very least.
The activity build the belief for sure, because as you're speaking it, you're coming to agreement with it, is building your own belief. That's why showing the plan should be a weekly thing, not because of the other person being recruited, or being qualified. Sorry, my bad. Shamey. But because of the conviction of as you're sharing it and you're coming into agreement with it, going
Right.
now. So priority number one was you first got to be a go now. In order for your business to build. When my parents lived in Mexico, off the grid, no internet access, they didn't go to a meeting. They weren't doing their checklist. They weren't doing the basic 5. Their business wasn't growing, which they were disappointed with that. They were off the grid. I mean, that's why we did what we did, so they could do that. But their business wasn't growing. When they came out of retirement to build again, priority number one, they had to become a go now and start doing the basic 5. Priority number 2, though, is you can only work with go now and franchise owners. And I think you guys would probably agree with this, that one of the biggest wastes of times in this business is trying to talk stable and waiting into becoming a go now and franchise owner. And you see new people do this a lot. They're all excited. They're all fired up. They're go now and franchise owners. They got lucky. They scratched the ticket. Somebody launched a business, and they try to talk that person into doing all the right activities instead of continuing to lead the way. They get out of the way to try to pull that person into the business, and it's exhausting. It's tiring. How do you guys identify go nows that you're going to be working with? And then, a little bit on the working with go nows. Any advice you guys have on that?
Olivia.
Oh, great. So I think I touched upon a little bit just now. First of all, I think it's really important that I need to see these people in GMTSS first. Now, if you're not plugged into a GMTSS, don't refer to that person as a go now. I've heard people who actually talk to me and say, I wanted to know how do you get your go nows to come to local seminars? Then that question is self-explanatory. Let's rephrase that. So, number one, I gotta see you in GMTSS, and number 2, like you said, these people gotta make a decision. It's you can tell when somebody is taking that decision to their own hands and showing up not just for your senior partner, junior partner, and taking the actions, proactively consulting with your senior partners and to be held accountable. And so I think that holding accountable, not just to, do the check marks, I've done the task, here you go, but really with results in mind, right? So I'm, can you hold me accountable because I want to produce results, and how can I go about it? So I think that's how, number 1 from seeing GMTSS, number 2, their daily actions.
Great point. Yeah. I want to comment on that actually. Like, here's how I see it. Like, for people that are not in the GMTSS, it's not because Olivia needs us to be there. It's not because we need another body in the room. Yes, it helps. Like, if we have more people in the room, it helps with the energy, especially when we have the good people in the room. But it's because we know that if you're not at the GMTSS and you're not leveraging the events, you may be active today, but you're going to get burnt out if you try to do it all on your own. And that won't be a long-term goal now. So great point. Yeah.
That's exactly what Colton talked about just now. Do you want short-term success or do you want long-term success? So
that's right.
It's truly like building this business is not an easy task. It's the fact that we have a GMTSS that we can leverage that makes it a simple task. Like lifting a refrigerator into the back of the truck is what we're trying to do. It's a very difficult task. Like making a business that moves millions of dollars in sales. Like, people just think about how big our businesses are when you actually think of, like, from us down, how much product is moved through our businesses. It's outrageous. There's a lot of product being moved, but it's not because we're so exceptional. There's a system that's working for us outside of our time. Instead of lifting the refrigerator back of the truck using our hands and our back, we have a pulley system, 2 fingers, and utilize. You watch somebody try to build this without the GMTSS, or they're like, I'm all go now. You're like, man, even if you made it, it's not going to duplicate. That's short-term success. That's going to break your back. But everybody can do this. Everybody can use the GMTSS and build the business.
Love it. Oh, by the way, we got to wrap up in like 3 minutes, but on this slide, I just want to make sure we take the chance to mention one more thing, is that even though we only work with the go nows, it's important not to forget the relationship with everybody else. You got to love everybody. And this is a reminder. Yeah, it was a reminder to myself. I lost some people because I forgot calling them. And
my dad says the residual income comes from residual relationships, and maintaining relationships is where that income comes from.
Right, but we work with the go nows. Yeah.
All right. Last slide here. I just want to hit on this. This is because this is the homework assignment for the week as well. You're part of this. You want to plug into what we're talking about. This is my favorite product. It's so basic. It's so simple, but I think it's amazing. Snap laundry detergent. I think everyone in the whole world that is using laundry detergent. It's a product everyone uses. Ours is higher quality and it's better priced. I got all this information in your back office. If you go to your back office, type in Snap laundry detergent, it pulls up all this stuff. The key terms that I pull out of it that I say every single time I'm talking to somebody, it's non-toxic, it's plant-based, and it's enzymatic. Means it actually breaks things down at an enzyme level. It's even approved that hospitals can use our laundry detergent, but it's cheaper. Yeah, but it's cheaper than Tide. So when people are like, oh, but is it like this or is it like that? I'm like, man, if somebody's not brand loyal, like they're going to take it outside. I use this term brand loyal. Like they're going to take it outside that Tide is the best product. Their grandpa invented Tide. They got the t-shirt, the lunchbox. If they're not brand loyal to it, they might as well try Snap. And so I tell everyone, like, if you were going to be moving tomorrow, who would you call first? If you had, if who is the 10 people that love you the most, and just say, hey, I'm sure you probably already have laundry detergent at your house. But I launched this business. I'm really excited about it. They have a laundry detergent product. It's plant-based, non-toxic, enzymatic, and it's cheaper than Tide. Would you mind stocking up one extra and just trying it for me? I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah,
and I think there's so many people that have a hard time retailing, and they're trying to think of, I got to sell 10 bajillion products. I'm like, why don't we start with laundry detergent? Everyone you know is already using it. Everyone you know, wouldn't mind having a better product, especially if it was cheaper. And then you can use these charts and diagrams to show them the science or whatever behind what you just said.
Yeah, I love it. And Colton, what's the follow-up usually look like? Like, do you get a lot of reorders with this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whenever somebody it usually lasts depends on how big the family is, but 60 to 90 days. I'll usually check in and just be like, hey, I asked for your opinion, just curious on what you thought about it. Would love to hear your thoughts on laundry detergent. Usually they're like, oh, it's amazing, and one thing I like to point out is I used to get like these little rashes on my neck. When I was broke, I thought Tide was cheaper. So I was using the Tide stuff, and so I found out later this was cheaper. But I used to get these like rashes on my neck. When we switched back to Snap, no more rashes on my neck, and that's just due because it doesn't have all the stuff inside of it to make it, all the smell good stuff actually makes it have all the rashiness as well. Irritation.
Love it. Great. I will attempt that this week.
Three customers.
So what is it? Move out three bottles this week?
Yeah, the way I worded it was create 3 new sales, because it could be to a customer you already have. If you have a customer that's a loyal customer, they're already on multivitamin, you might as well get share of customer. Now they're on multivitamin and laundry detergent. If you're like, hey, I'm struggling with retail. Everyone who struggles with retail, this is as simple as it gets. This is base zero. This is home plate. So start here for sure.
Cool. And if any of our viewers here, end up moving the three bottles this next week, please send me an email or Facebook message, or either Colton, Olivia, or myself, and we'd love to hear from you and get you to share with us next, in 2 weeks' time. Like that would be something we'd like to hear from. See how y'all did it. That's
good.
Okay. All right. We have one question today. And it's from Han from Texas. Oh, Han is killing it. How do you create momentum, and then how to duplicate that momentum with your team? Wow. I think we started off today with this, so this will be a great recap.
Yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm. So Cole, what do you think? How do you create momentum, and then how do you duplicate it with your team?
Momentum. In Drayton Hodo, actually, talking on audios and all that stuff, there's a great clip of him from this last convention talking about creating momentum. And then that's what you got to be a momentum creator. I think it starts internally with a decision first, a decision that you're going to make it, that this is going to work, and a conviction of where you're going. It usually does start with one small burst. Big fires start with small sparks. Be that spark. And I think you'd be shocked that duplication is really like wildfire. When you have the vision, when you have the momentum, it picks up, and everyone around you, it's contagious, and they pick up on it. That excitement, that fire, that when it comes from here out, it starts. So I would say start right now, just creating activity, massive action in a short burst. Instead of it's the same numbers for everybody. Out of 10, you're going to get 2 to 4 to move forward with the business. Instead of doing that over the course of a year, do it in a week. Put it in front of 10 people in 1 week and just compress the timeline. Momentum's created. It's really fast.
Those take massive action, but really focusing on what you can control and not letting the things that you can't control stop you or slow you down.
100%. Can you go back
Right.
to the last slide on where they can ask us stuff?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. This
Make sure
is
you guys ask questions here. We want to hear from you guys. I want to hear, what are you guys thinking? What do you guys have questions on? bit.ly/asktalkshop. We really do read through, we look through them. I want to find some good questions to put on here.
Yeah, and it doesn't just have to be how to build type of question. It could be what's your guilty pleasure, Colton, or stuff like that.
It could be like, Olivia Lee, how do you get so good looking? That
Yeah.
It's all BVIBV.
I love it. All right. Next week we are going to be doing an UnFranchise Business overview. It says here by Andrew Chee, but it's going to be the three of us. Like we're going to be on here. Colton's going to do an introduction and opening up. I'll go through like a 15-20 minute overview of the plan. So I might not get into the full numbers of the 1,200, 24, 36 like that, but I'll be giving people the gist of it, and so that you can book a follow-up with your guest. I'd say another activity that we should focus on this week is really getting people to register for the webinar next week. We're going to be showing the plan, and that could be used as a good follow-up or used as a good first look. And Olivia, if you could wrap us up next week with a maybe a quick recognition session where we'll pinpoint, we'll communicate, and we'll get a few people from different areas and different backgrounds and different franchise levels, and you just orchestrate the recognition session. I think that would be great. We got our own on here.
And actually piggyback on what Andrew talked about, that's a great task. In addition to the 3 sales, let's redo a names list for next Tuesday's UBP online. And people that you have talked to, but you haven't added that third-party credibility, please make sure you promote any of us who connects with their backgrounds. And so names list and schedule a call workshop with your team. And that's the best thing you can do for next Tuesday. That's, again, how to create momentum, right? Condensed in 1 week. Yeah,
great. Just want to put out there, we are all one team. So I was doing a call workshop, and I was in a group somewhere off in Los Angeles, or if I'm in Singapore or Australia right now watching this, I just call up and say, hey, my team and I is putting together a little overview. I wanted to run this by you, get your thoughts on it, and see if you can help me lead to the right people. Whatever it is, we are all the same team. So please, own it, and don't be afraid of. Don't stop yourself from saying my team and I are putting this together, because we wouldn't do this without y'all. Yeah.
Love it.
Great.
Okay, and so that pretty much wraps up our broadcast today. Olivia, Colton, you guys got any last final comments before we end off with the question, the food for thought, question to ponder on?
Did we do this question last time at all? I don't think so. But if everyone in our team did what we did today, will we all be successful?
Right.
And what would that task be? Right. Something that you might be very disciplined at, something that you are very proud, and feed off that one task and duplicate that on the team. That would be a great thing to do for this week. Right.
Okay. I don't think we did that one, but we did the on week 2. I remember it was if your income was capped a year from now. That was a really deep one too. I've got a question for everyone, which is actually I'm gonna save mine for next week, and it'll perfect to wrap up the UBP. Yeah.
Perfect.
Other than that, I want to thank you guys as always. This has been a fun hangout. It always lifts me up. I love it. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of our viewers that are on here, that stuck with us till the end, and we will see you next week. Please be sure to invite on a guest.